Evening was falling fast, the last orange light of the sun stretched across the walls of the compound houses, and the narrow paved passages between them were already growing dim. Aisha ran through one of those passages, breathing hard. She held her slippers in one hand so she could run faster. In the other hand, she gripped a small rusty key. She looked back, then forward, then back again. Somewhere behind her, footsteps followed. Just 15 minutes earlier, Aisha had been returning from work when she heard a weak voice saying, "Please, help me." Aisha stopped. The voice came from the back of an unfinished building near the edge of the neighborhood. At first, she thought it was her imagination, then she heard it again, saying, "Please, don't go." Aisha slowly followed the sound. Aisha reached a small block-side space between two buildings. Through a broken ventilation opening, she saw something that made her freeze. An elderly woman was inside a storage room. She looked tired, frightened, and weak. Her wrapper was dusty, and she was sitting close to the wall. When she saw Aisha, her eyes widened. "My daughter," she whispered, "please help me." Then she pushed a small rusty key through the opening. "Open the door before he comes back." Aisha bent down and picked up the key, but before she could move, she heard a gate creak. She turned slowly. At the far end of the compound lane, a tall man stood watching her. His face was calm, but his eyes were cold. Then he saw the key in her hand. His expression changed. Aisha did not wait, she ran. Aisha ran between the houses, breathing hard. Her bare feet hit the pavement as she held her slippers tightly. She looked back. The man was following her. He was not shouting. He was not rushing. He was just coming after her quietly. That made it worse. Two women standing outside a compound saw Aisha running. "Aisha, what happened?" One of them shouted, but Aisha could not stop. She turned into another narrow passage. The sky was getting darker. The walls looked taller. The passage felt smaller. Behind her, the man's footsteps were getting closer. Aisha reached the back of the unfinished building again. Her hands were shaking as she pushed the key into the padlock. The key refused to turn. She tried again. This time, the lock opened. Inside, the elderly woman looked up with tears in her eyes. Aisha helped her stand. "We have to leave now," Aisha whispered. Then a shadow appeared at the doorway. The man had arrived. The neighbors arrived. For a moment, nobody moved. The man blocked the doorway. Aisha held the elderly woman behind her. Then suddenly, voices came from outside. "Aisha, where is she? Check there." The two women who saw Aisha running had raised alarm. Soon, neighbors rushed into the compound. The man tried to act innocent, but it was too late. Everyone saw the open room. Everyone saw the elderly woman. Everyone understood. The elderly woman explained that she had seen the man hiding stolen items in the unfinished building. When he noticed she had seen him, he locked her inside and planned to move everything after dark. Aisha had heard her voice by chance. If Aisha had ignored it, nobody would have known. The neighbors looked at Aisha with shock and respect. One woman asked her, "When you saw that man following you, why didn't you run home?" Aisha looked back at the narrow passage. Then she said, "Because someone was waiting for help."